Welcome to the Deep Dive. We sift through the information so you don't have to, handing you what you need to be truly well-informed. And today, we're getting into a topic that, well, it affects so many of us, especially right now in summer. Tourism. You know that picture, right?
Yeah.
The huge crowds, headlines about record numbers, that feeling our source calls being drunk on tourism.
Uh-huh.
We've all felt it, haven't we? Like you're just packed in, taking the same photo everyone else is taking. This article really nails that tension.
It does. And, underneath all that buzz, there's this paradox growing. The article we're looking at today, it's by Goran Rehelj on HrTurizam.hr, just out July 13th. It paints this really clear picture of tourism having two faces.
Two faces. How so?
Well, on one hand, you've got the mass tourism, the overgrowth thing. Think about Athens having to close the Acropolis because of the heat, or Versailles, like totally suffocating under visitors. Rehelj says it's killing every pleasure.
Right. I see.
But then on the other hand, there's this growing pull towards something, well, more authentic, more thoughtful, something that connects you to the local place.
That's a really interesting contrast. Definitely highlights a core problem. So what's our main goal in digging into this today? It feels like it's more than just, fixing the overcrowding.
Exactly. Yeah, our mission is really to explore how places can move beyond just counting tourists and nights stayed towards creating what Rehelj calls meaningful tourism.
Meaningful tourism, okay.
Yeah, and it's not just about dodging problems. It's about finding a whole new way forward, one that's sustainable and actually works better for everyone, especially the people who live there year-round. We're using this article. It draws on expert reports, real examples to really unpack this shift for you.
Okay, so let's jump in with what the article calls the uncomfortable truth. You'd imagine a global pandemic, like a complete halt to travel, would have forced a major rethink in tourism.
You'd think so, wouldn't you?
Yeah. But this piece says, well, it didn't quite manage that. So what did grab everyone's attention?
Well, this is fascinating. Apparently, the real wake-up call wasn't some big philosophical shift. It was more concrete. A drop in how much tourists were actually spending last year, and now this year, this sort of tension, as they put it, around the arrival numbers from the main markets.
So it took a hit to the wallet, basically.
It seems like it, a financial reality check, rather than, a sudden realization about quality of life or sustainability.
What really struck me from the source is how it questions our usual way of thinking. Just chasing bigger numbers all the time. It mentions a report from City DNA that's a network of city tourism groups cited by Rehelj, saying that just tracking stats and ticking sustainability boxes, well, it isn't really enough.
Exactly. The article makes a strong point that just looking at numbers on a spreadsheet can be really misleading. You have to understand the human impact, the reality on the ground behind those numbers.
Yeah.
It's about looking at the actual management, the business side of things, and asking, okay, what are these figures actually telling us? Which leads right into the huge question the author asks.
Which is?
If tourism isn't mainly developed to make life better for the locals, the people who live there, then who is it for? He calls this a fundamental error in how most places approach tourism policy.
Wow, that really reframes things, doesn't it? Who are we actually serving? And the article gives a really sharp example you mentioned from an HRT report.
Yeah, it's this short video, less than 2 minutes, but Rehelj says it's like a precise, brutal slap to the usual tourism strategy.
Okay.
It shows young, highly educated families having to move out to the countryside because they literally can't afford to live in the cities that are supposedly thriving from tourism.
That's quite an indictment.
It really is. And it makes you grapple with the author's blunt observation. What do we need highly educated people in a city that lives from tourism for? A history professor, a sanitary engineer. The message seems to be, just put on a destination t-shirt and be a tour guide. It forces you to think about the real human cost when a place prioritizes visitors over its own residents.
Yeah, just letting that sink in. That's a really tough question for any city leader. It makes you wonder, is anyone actually doing this differently? Does the article show any places trying to, flip this script?
Yes, absolutely. And these examples offer some real hope, I think. Look at Wales. They haven't turned against tourism at all, but they've used what the article calls smart regulation for their tourist rentals.
Smart regulation.
Yeah, basically finding ways to manage it that protect the local communities and make sure development is sustainable.
Yeah.
It's about creating a fair partnership between the visitors and the locals.
That sounds promising. And connecting this to the bigger picture, the article also mentions the Algarve in Portugal as a kind of model for this meaningful tourism. How does a region known for beaches manage that?
Well, the Algarve isn't just about beaches and awards, though it gets plenty of both. It's about a really systematic approach to caring for the environment, looking after the community, and focusing on the quality of the experience for guests.
Okay.
It really shows that this different, more rounded approach isn't just like a nice idea, it's possible, and it's actually profitable too. The awards just follow naturally when you're doing things right.
So this meaningful tourism, it's clearly more than just a marketing buzzword. How does the article really define what it is at its core? What makes it different?
Well, it stresses that it's not some campaign you just roll out. It's meant to be a genuine reflection of how the local community lives every day.
Right.
The argument is, when the locals actually feel good about their own quality of life, when they feel heard and involved, visitors are naturally drawn to that. That old saying still holds true, you know? The best marketing is word of mouth. Always has been, always will be.
That makes so much sense. Happy residents create a genuinely welcoming place.
And this points to something often missed. Rihelge notes that destinations spend a lot of time researching what tourists think, like that Thomas Croatia research. But maybe, he suggests, they should spend more time researching their own residents.
Ah, interesting point.
Yeah, finding out how locals feel about tourism, about their own quality of life. He mentions the many Mercer County Tourist Board's 2023 research as a rare, good example of actually doing this looking inwards first. It's often overlooked, but maybe essential for good strategy.
Okay, let's talk trends. It feels like the human element is really coming to the forefront now. Slow travel, for example, seems to have gone from niche to, well, pretty mainstream. What's behind that?
I think more and more people are looking for, well, meaning in their travel. They want personal experiences, real connections, authenticity. Solo travel is a big part of that, too. It's becoming linked with personal freedom, a way to connect more deeply with where you are.
Less about just ticking boxes and more about really being somewhere.
Exactly. It's about the experience, not just consuming a place.
And what about technology? AI is popping up everywhere. The article mentions this, I reckon your research showing AI can predict when hotel guests might leave early, allowing hotels to step in.
Yeah, AI is definitely here. I reckon you is a data analytics firm in travel, and their research shows AI can predict this silent outflow, as they call it, which sounds useful, right? Prevent guests leaving unhappy without saying anything.
It does sound powerful. But is there a catch?
Well, the key thing isn't just that AI can do this. It's the warning the author includes. The wow factor of technology can sometimes make us forget about the most important thing, the people providing the service.
Ah, the human touch.
Right. There's a risk of putting too much budget and focus on tech and maybe neglecting the investment in people, in quality service, in that human connection, which at the end of the day is often what makes an experience memorable.
That's a really crucial point, finding the right balance.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about some positive examples, local initiatives that are already doing things differently. What are some standouts from Croatia in the article?
Well, in Split, Dalmatia County, there's this initiative called Return to Play. They're bringing back old street games like hopscotch, tug of war.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it's not just, a show for tourists. It's presented as a real return to emotion, to authenticity, something maybe lost a bit in our digital world. It's about rediscovering local fun.
I love that. And then there's the Museum of Jaka in Split. Jaka, that's a very specific Dalmatian thing, isn't it?
It is. It's a really unique concept. The article describes it as sort of a sophisticated way of dealing with the world's frantic pace, a bit like Danish Hide or Italian dolce far niente, the sweet art of doing nothing.
Okay, I think I get the vibe.
It's this state of blissful relaxation, maybe a gentle daze, refusing to get caught up in pointless rushing. The museum presents this as an opportunity for slow travel, for tourism to be more than just, selfies on crowded squares.
Right.
It really reinforces this idea the author pushes. We are the narrators of our story. If locals don't share their unique culture, who will? It's about valuing and sharing what makes a place special.
So putting all this together, what's the big vision here? The article suggests a place like Croatia could really lead the way in meaningful tourism, focusing on emotions, stories, local quality of life, not just arrival numbers.
That's the hope, yeah. But the article is clear. This can't just be a nice idea or a slogan. It needs to be a real, concrete business goal.
So practical steps, not just talk.
Exactly. The aim is for tourism to become what it, What it should be, something that genuinely enriches the community, not drains it. And this loops back to that HRT report, the small detail.
The families being pushed out.
Right. Will places choose policies that help keep young, educated families? Or will they end up in a situation where, say, doctors become tour guides just to make ends meet, or engineers leave the country? The analogy the author uses is really powerful.
What's that?
What can we learn from the Greeks about democracy? That there is no polis without the people and no meaningful tourism without locals.
No polis without the people.
Yeah.
That really says it all, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's clear the core message is this major shift. Putting meaning, putting people ahead of just raw numbers in tourism.
Mm-hmm. Building something sustainable, something that genuinely makes life better for the people who call these places home. That creates a better experience for everyone, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe that leaves us with a final thought for you, the listener, to consider. Will destinations make the choice to create places where young professionals, educated people, can actually build a life and contribute fully?
Right.
Or will they stick to a path that indirectly pushes those people out? Maybe into tourist jobs they're overqualified for, or even out of the country entirely. It's a choice that shapes not just tourism, but the whole future of a community.